hear narrations of marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti is being further taken forward. Swayambhava Manu has handed over his daughter to Kardama Muni, finally here. Kardama Muni had few conditions that he would very soon renounce the family life after he bears a child with Devahuti. And Swayambhava Manu has gone ahead with this condition. So this shows that people are aware of the goal of life. Unlike today, if someone hears, I want to give up family life, there is a turmoil in the family. But this was very natural for someone to advance in spiritual life, giving up family life. And Swayambhava Manu gone ahead with handing over the daughter to Kardama Muni. And he is feeling relieved of his responsibility, because as a father, there is a responsibility to hand over the daughter, which is said as Kanyadana. And this description of marriage is not a mundane description of marriage that we hear sometimes today. Bhagavatam talks about these descriptions to give us some higher instructions. Probably this is one of the most simplest way of marriage that we have seen here. There is no description of, because any marriage means there will be so much of elaborate description of what arrangements happened, where happened, who was the priest. So those details are not the essential things here. But Bhagavatam wants to teach us some higher instruction through these conversation of marriage, how this incident that happened between Kardama Muni and Devahuti has some higher instructions to be learned by the readers of Bhagavatam. So we see how Kardama Muni is also a great person in terms of his renunciation. And Swayambhava Manu is also one of the Mahajana. He is one of the 12 Mahajana. Bhagavatam described in the 6th canto, the 12 Mahajanas are described, and Swayambhava Manu is one among them. And as a Mahajana, he is very clear with what is right and what is wrong, what is dharma and what is adharma. He is having the clear understanding of intricacies of dharma. And that's how he has given the manual for the human beings, for the Manushya, which is known as Manu Samhita. So Manu Samhita gives the guidelines for the human beings who live in this material world to how to conduct their life based on some rules and regulations. Because it is without the rules and regulations, the life of a human being is like a life of an animal. In the animalistic life, we don't see any rules and regulations stipulated for them. They are conducted by the impulse of their senses. They are guided by the modes of nature. They work under the direction of their instincts. So, Manu Samhita, sometimes some descriptions of Manu Samhita might be questionable or might not be acceptable for people of current age because of their lack of understanding. Especially here, we see many descriptions. In this verse also we see that daughter is here compared to a property. She is considered as property of father, property of husband, and later on she is a property of grown-up sons. This might be not acceptable for the current generation sometimes. And the concept of Kanyadhana, daughter is offered as charity. This might be very difficult to digest for the current generation. And previous verse we heard about the concept of dowry. Although in the Vedic understanding, dowry is actually compulsory. Prabhupada also clarifies in the previous purport. Although it is not compulsory from the perspective or from the point of the boy's family, but it is compulsory for the father to establish his goodwill. And all these things had a spiritual significance. It had a Vedic significance. It had a role to play. Say, for example, the same case of Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni was a brahmachari, and he had nothing to possess with him. And when the dowry is given out of free will, the family life can easily now start. Otherwise, they would not waste their time in accumulating so many paraphernalia in conducting the family life. And so that they can focus continue to focus on their spiritual progress and spiritual advancement. So it had its own spirit, but somehow in the current scenario, although the ritual is there, but the spirit behind that ritual is lost. And that's how we can see today these aspects may be little controversial for people to understand. But Kardama Muni, because he is a leader of the society, from his own action he is trying to educate. Because Kardama Muni is the leader of the mankind. He is not only just a ruler who gives instructions, but also he teaches by his own personal practice. He is teaching personally to others how to follow the very same Manu Samhita, the instruction, the guidelines which he has given in Manu Samhita. Common man always look upon superiors, how to follow and with what spirit to follow the instructions. That's why it is said, Yad Yad Achariti Shveshta Taddat Eve Terojana. Common men, they look upon the superior personalities to how to follow the instructions. So that's how Swayambhuva Manu is instructing by his own actions that how to follow the guidelines that is given for the human being to follow. When we say property, the common understanding that people today have, the understanding means property means it's for my enjoyment. That is a distorted understanding that people of current generation have. We think property means it's for my enjoyment and I can exploit in a way that I want. And if the girl is my property, if the girl is the property of the father, then father has all his independence to do however he wants to exploit it. No, it is not like that. Here Swayambhuva Manu, you can see here, he is dutifully handling his responsibility. He is finding a suitable person. In the previous verse, also we see how he is exhibiting his, carrying his duty. Tasmai guna ganadhyaya dadotulyam praharshitaha. He is first of all being satisfied that the boy to whom he is giving a daughter is fully qualified. And what kind of qualification? It is a spiritual qualification. That is a suitability that was always consider. Kardama Muni was not an opulent person. He was materially, for that matter, not so rich. But he is spiritually very rich. And he also ensured Dado Tulyam. He had the same qualities like that of his own daughter. And not only that, he also ensured that his wife and her daughter also had the interest in getting married to Kardama Muni. Sonu Dhatva Vyavasitam Mahishya Duhito Sputam. Mahishya means the wife or the empress. Duhitahu means referring to Kardama Muni. Sorry, Devabhuti. So he understood that, he tried to understand what is the desire of the wife and what is the desire of daughter also. So there is no question of exploitation or employing any force. Although it is said that women doesn't have an independence, but it doesn't mean that their voice is suppressed, or it doesn't mean that they are exploited. Like you see here, Manu is trying to understand the taste or the willingness of both the wife and the daughter also, who are also women. So it is our misunderstanding when we consider something as a property, we consider property is for my enjoyment. But the Vedic understanding is that everything belongs to Lord. So any property which is given to someone, it means he is owning some responsibility of holding that property. So property doesn't come on its own free of cost. It comes with an element of responsibility. So when we say there is no independence, it means that there is a degree of responsibility that is given upon the person who is holding the property. As a father, there is a responsibility to ensure that daughter is handed over to a suitable man, and at the same time, there is a responsibility to train the girl with chastity. Because when the girl is under the protection of the parents, she is trained how to remain chaste. And then married to a suitable one. And then the responsibility is further handed over to a suitable man. So now the responsibility is transferred. Just like here it is said here. Upagriya cha sadakshaya gatavyataha. He is getting freed. He is relieved from his responsibility. So like this, whoever is having the property, that means there is a responsibility according to them. And what is the responsibility? Responsibility is that to use in the service of the Lord. Just like sometimes we are given some asset to manage. The asset is not given for one's own pleasure. In the course of discharging the service, one may be given so many facilities. Sometimes he may be responsible to handle some property, some assets. But it is not meant for his own enjoyment. He is responsible to see that it is used in the service of the Lord. So that is the Vedic understanding. Unlike today, there is a distorted understanding that property means it is for my enjoyment, and that's how there is a kind of misunderstanding with respect to the instructions that is given in Manu Samhita. Bhagavatam also gives a very significant instruction. Rishabhadeva, he instructs that someone who has taken a role of a father, who has taken a role of a husband or a role of a mother, there is a responsibility that is accorded. And the highest responsibility is to deliver the dependents from the clutches of the birth and death. In the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we see Mother Sachi. She is exhibiting a wonderful character by allowing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take sannyasa. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyasa, he came to Shantipur. And there was a question that whether Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should live in Navadvip. By living in Navadvip, it will be very pleasing to Mother Shachi, it will be very pleasing to all the Navadvip residents. But as a sannyasi, there is other instruction to be followed. So there is a dilemma. But Mother Sachi exhibits a wonderful quality. Because if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would have lived in Navadvip, no doubt Sachimata would have been very happy. It would be a great happiness for the residents of Navadvip and Mother Sachi. But Sachimata did not want Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be blamed by others. If such kind of blame comes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then that will be the greatest unhappiness. Although personally it will be great happiness that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will remain in Navadvip and close to Mother Sachi. Srila Prabhupada also explains that it is a duty of the parents to send his son in search of Supreme Lord. If the parents or if the mother doesn't send her son in search of the Supreme Lord, then the same mother is called as Ma. Ma means Maya. So that is the duty or responsibility that is accorded in different relationships. Similarly, in the life of, in the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra also we see. He also exhibited how he protected Mother Sita as a ideal husband. He protected Mother Sita because Lord appeared with the purpose and he wanted to teach different classes of people. One class of people is that those who follow religious duties. For him, he played an example. He played he taught, he instructed that someone who is accepted wife, he has a duty, he has a responsibility to protect and be faithful to her. And for another class of people, for devotees, there is another set of instruction. The Prabhupada explains. For a devotees, there is an instruction that if you take up a family life, then you have to undergo different kinds of tribulations. So these are the kind of instruction that Lord Ramachandra gives through his pastimes. So today is a very important day, Vijayadashami. It is also known as Ramachandra Vijayotsava. Lord killing a demon, Ravana, is celebrated with great enthusiasm. His devotees remember the pastime of killing Ravana and they celebrate this pastime. So Lord appeared. Lord Ramachandra is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He appeared like an ordinary man. The Bhagavatam describes the four quadruple expansion of Krishna, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha appeared as four brothers as Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrugna. And although Lord Rama appeared as an ordinary person, but he is not an ordinary person, he is a supreme person. And in various ways, Lord Rama exhibited his supremacy during his pastimes in this material world. Say when Lord Rama came to the bank of the ocean, So he is wanting Samudra to give the way for him to go ahead. And he is expecting that Samudra will appear now. But Samudra did not respond to the call. So Lord Ramachandra performs the pastime of anger. Just by simply by glancing the glance of anger, the entire ocean became so much hot that entire aquatic started to burn. He started to feel the heat and became very inconvenient to subsist there. So, how is it possible for an ordinary man, just by glance, to heat up the entire ocean? And ocean is so vast. The gigantic ocean is unlimited. It cannot be calculated within the human mind. How vast is the ocean? And that vast ocean, Lord Ramachandra heats up simply by his glance of anger. And upon realizing, the Samudra Deva finally appears, understood that this person is not an ordinary person. Samudra thought that this is an ordinary man, but understood that finally that Lord Ramachandra is not an ordinary person. And immediately surrendered to Lord Rama. And Lord Rama got pleased. And when he got pleased, with the same glance, he also cooled down the ocean. So that is the supremacy of Lord Ramachandra he is exhibiting, although he came like an ordinary man. So, Lord Ramachandra came with an important purpose. Because whenever there is the irreligion, especially Ravana, all the demigods appeared to pray to relieve from the pangs of Ravana. Ravana had a very, he prayed, he performed very great austerities to get a boon from Lord Brahma. He prayed in a way that he won't be killed. Generally, any demon, they pray for immortality. That's a very common prayer or common boon asked by any demon. Although the soul is immortal, we know that soul is always eternal, then what is this immortality that is being asked for? But the mood of the attitude of demon is that they want to remain in this body and want to perpetually enjoy in this world, which is against the nature of, which is against the arrangement done in this material world. Lord Brahma himself is not immortal. So that's why Ravana prayed for a boon where he won't be killed by any demigods, he won't be killed by any demons, he won't be killed by any reptiles or any kind of killing. But he did not pray for human beings and animals. Because Ravana thought that human beings and animals cannot do harm for me. That's quite obvious also. Ravana was so powerful, even demigods were afraid to wage a war with him. So that was the power of Ravana. He performed such a great austerities that for 10 years he performed austerities, and every year he would sacrifice his head. At the end of each year he would sacrifice his head to appease Brahma. So like that, for 9 years he performed sacrifice and offered his head as a sacrifice. At the 10th year, Lord Brahma appears and he, by being pleased by Ravana, and he gets the boon finally. But the tendency of demon is that as soon as any boon is received, they become proud of the possession, proud of the boon. So Ravana started to trouble the saintly people, and he captures Lanka and forcibly evicts Kubera. Kubera is a half brother of Ravana, but nonetheless he forcibly evicted Kubera from Lanka. Otherwise, Kubera's designated place, Lanka's designated place was to be ruled by Kubera. Kubera also prayed to Brahma. He wanted to be a Dikpala and he was given that boon and he was asked by his father to rule over Lanka. So that was his rightful share. But Ravana forcibly evicted Kubera and then he further set on to the heavenly planets and he defeated all the demigods. And it is said that even the forefathers of Lord Ramachandra was also killed by Ravana. And he cursed Ravana that he will be killed by one of his own family members. And that's how we see that Lord Ramachandra appeared in Raghukula in the dynasty of Ikshvaku and he kills Ravana. And this elaborate narration of fight between Ravana and Lord Ramachandra is very elaborately explained in Yuddha Kanda of Ramayana. So in that narration, we see that how Lord gives supreme empowerment to even his devotees. Although devotees may be insignificant, apparently, with respect to the material calculation, Lord Rama took up voluntarily an exile where 14 years he will not be in the kingdom. So he did not have any army with him to fight with Ravana. With the friendship of Sugriva, he somehow mobilized an army of monkeys. And in material calculation, monkeys cannot fight with the demonic power or strength of Ravana. Ravana has so many associates who are undefeatable. Even demigods couldn't defeat them. There is a narration where Lord Indra was also captured by Indrajit. He was brought to the assembly of Ravana and finally he was released by the order of Brahma. So that was the power of the associates of Ravana. And what to speak of the monkeys? They had no power. So in the battlefield, there is no comparison between the monkeys, the army of Rama and the army of Ravana. Ravana's army had the best of the weapons with them. But what was the weapon of monkeys? The monkeys' weapon was the stones, the boulders, the trees, the branches. Except Rama and Lakshmana, no one had any celestial weapons with them to fight. But we can see that yet the monkeys became so victorious in the battlefield. It is just because the monkeys were empowered by Lord Ramachandra. So apparently devotees may be not so powerful, may be incompetent against the opposing elements, but by the empowerment, by the strength of the Supreme Lord, anyone can come victorious against the opposing elements. Similarly, devotees who are practicing devotional life, they may come across so many challenges in the course of their devotional service, in their sadhana life. We may find sometimes we may find the challenges are so great that we won't be able to resist on our own strength. Like there are many incidences, many occasions where Prabhupada, when he was preaching in the Western countries, there were so many oppositions. When Prabhupada wanted to take the property of Juhu in Bombay to set up a ISKCON temple there, so there were so many challenges. And devotees were all foreigners. They had no understanding of Indian laws. They don't know how to handle the people, the kind of people who are there, who are always deceitful in their nature. They were practically not so experienced to handle such challenges. But you see how they were all so nicely, and the history we know how finally Prabhupada and the devotees came victorious against the opposing elements at Bombay temple. Like that, there are many instances. Devotees on their own strength, they are not able to face any challenges, the opposing elements. But it is by the blessings and the mercy and empowerment of Supreme Lord, devotees can cross over all the troubles that may come in front of while pursuing their, conducting their spiritual life. So we should remember that it is not our own strength. Any strength apparently that may look like it is our strength is actually in reality is not our strength. It is a strength that is bestowed upon us to execute our spiritual functions. So that is a significant thing we can see here to the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, that how he can bless his devotees, empower his devotees in carrying the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And in the battlefield we see Lord Ramachandra, when he is fighting, all the demigods, they come to assist Lord Ramachandra. Ravana could not be killed by any power. Even Lord Rama did not have any arrangements and facilities to fight. Lord Rama was fighting from the earth, from the foot. And Lord Ravana is fighting in the chariot. So Indradeva sends his celestial chariot to accommodate the fighting between Lord Rama and Ravana. So finally Lord Ramachandra kills Lord Rama, and we see that finally there is an understanding that Lord Ravana was killed by hitting the arrow in the Nabi, but the Valmiki Ramayana gives a very authentic description that how Ravana was actually having his Amrita on his heart, and by release of Brahmastra, the Amrita which is there in the heart of Ravana was completely evaporated, and finally Ravana was killed. So that is the significant narration of killing of Ravana. This act of killing, sometimes it may not be comprehensible for common man, because we celebrate this act of killing as Dussehra or Ramachandra Vijayotsava. Other day I was with one guest. I was trying to invite him to come to the celebration. So he was saying, Lord Rama killed Ravana. Ravana is a great person. He is a scholar. He is a Brahmana. And it is true. He was a Brahmana and he was a great scholar. When Ravana was traveling to Kailasha, he was so powerful that he could lift the Kailasha and he could for a while disturb the Kailasha also. And to teach a lesson, Shiva also tried to subdue him, and finally Ravana understood that. And he offered great prayers in glorifying Lord Shiva. So now who can offer such a nice prayer glorifying Shiva? He has to be thorough understanding of Shastras. So Ravana, for that matter, might be a Brahmana. He was having an understanding of the Vedic scriptures. But he was not. The conclusion of Vedic scripture is what? The conclusion of Vedic scripture is Krishna is the Supreme Person, Rama is the Supreme Person. So this was not there in the Ravana. This understanding was never there in Ravana. So this gentleman, he was refusing to come to attend because he was saying that it is not good to kill Ravana. It is not good to celebrate killing of Ravana because Ravana is a Brahmana. He is a great scholar. So that is the understanding sometimes people may have. People may not understand the killing of Lord is not on the same level of killing done by an ordinary man. Lord is always supreme in his position, and Lord's activities are always beyond the scope of the influence of modes of material nature. Lord is not influenced by his killing. Rather, it is called as pastimes. It is a sweet pastime of the Lord. Because Lord wants to reclaim his living entities who are living here. So, unless Lord comes here and enacts the pastimes, living entities are not interested to go back to Godhead. They are more interested to settle down here, be comfortable and enjoy here. And that's why Lord comes here and enacts wonderful pastimes, where by those pastimes he can attract the living entities. Otherwise, Lord need not come personally also, because Lord's energy are so powerful and capable that they can take care of killing the demons. Like today also is a day when Durga Devi killed another demon called Mahishasura. He was another great demon. And just like Ravana, he was also spreading irreligion. He was against the Vedic conclusion and troubling the sages and hindering their spiritual activities. So Durga Devi came and killed the demon. So Durga Devi is powerful enough to kill any demon. For that matter, she can kill even Ravana also, for that matter. But Lord Ramachandra had his own plan that he wanted to come and enact the wonderful pastimes through which he can give different kinds of instructions. With one pastime, he is giving different instructions to the people who are living here and attract the living beings to come back to Godhead, to invite them to come to his abode. So that's how we see that one has to understand these teachings or pastimes of Lord Krishna or any of his instructions through the understanding, through the teachings of Bhagavatam. And we also get another interesting and important understanding that although Lord Rama became victorious, and we also understand through the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Mother Sita was actually not really captured by Ravana. For that matter, Ravana cannot touch Mother Sita. It was an arrangement and it was a plan of Lord Ramachandra that he kept the original Sita under the protection of Agni Deva with the fire, and a Chaya Sita was placed. If a common man of today's generation, they may oppose that why Ramachandra had to make Sita Devi undergo the Agni Pariksha. But we get the real understanding that it was not the real Sita. It was the real Sita was already under the protection of fire, Agni Deva, and through this arrangement, he actually took back the original Sita. So that is the benefit of hearing the narrations of pastimes of Lord Ramachandra or any incarnation from a bona fide sources. So today is a very important day. Just like devotees seek for always the protection of Lord Rama on this auspicious day, In the former days, demons were there in different planets, and in the further ages they started living in many other planets. Like demons are actually supposed to live in the lower planetary systems, but gradually they started living in other planets. In further ages, the demons started living in own family members, like in Dwapara Yuga, the demons were living in their family members only. And further, we can see in the age of Kali, we see the demonic tendency in every person. So, practically everyone in the age of Kali is influenced by demonic propensities. So, one can give up these demonic propensities only by taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. So, on this auspicious day of Ramachandra Vijayotsava, we can pray to the Lord, just like how Lord Rama killed the evil Ravana. There are also the demonic nature within our own personality, so that personality can be killed by taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord. So in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we pray to Krishna, to Rama, to the energy of Krishna, that this demonic tendencies can be mitigated. We get freed from this demonic sinful tendencies. So that is the recommended process that Lord Chaitanya brought to this world. Because we know that in this Kali Yuga, if practically the demons have to be killed, practically everyone is demon here, because everyone has the demonic tendencies in the age of Kali. So that's why Lord Chaitanya brought down the process of congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord, and by taking shelter of the holy name, one can become freed from this demonic tendencies. So that's why we celebrate this important day, Ramachandra Vijayotsava. So we pray to the Lord that we seek shelter, we seek His shelter and progress in our spiritual life. We stop here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Ramachandra Vijayotsava ki, Sri Sita Rama Lakshmana Hanuman ki.